Nice. So prepping for an associate director job interview can be pretty intimidating, right? It's a big step.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to make sure you know you're ready
Yeah.
to just totally shine. So we're diving deep into some stuff from Indeed.com, here for 3-year, and specifically their guide on interview questions and answers
Okay.
for an associate director. And, one thing that surprised me was just how much emphasis they put on soft skills. It's not even just about like
Yeah.
what you've done. It's about how you lead,
Right.
communicate, and align with the company's goals.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that like once you reach a certain level, it's all about your track record. But with a role like associate director,
Mm-hmm.
companies are looking for more than just a list of accomplishments. They want to see leadership potential.
Why is that? What makes those soft skills so important for an associate director versus, someone in an individual contributor role?
Well, just think about the scope of the responsibility. As an associate director, you're not just managing projects anymore. You're leading teams. You're making those strategic decisions. Yeah. You're really driving growth. So you need to be able to inspire people. You need to be able to navigate complex situations, and you really need to understand the company's vision.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're not just responsible for your own work, you're responsible for the success of a whole team.
Exactly. And that requires a whole different set of skills. It's about motivating people, developing people, resolving conflicts effectively, and making tough decisions that really impact the bottom line.
Now, the Indeed guide actually lists some common interview questions, and some of them are tricky. Like, what strategies would you use to motivate your team? How do you even begin to answer that?
I think the key is to understand what the interviewer is really trying to get at. In this case, they're not just looking for a list of motivational tactics. They want to see that you understand what drives people, that you can create an environment where people feel valued and engaged.
So it's not just about dangling carrots.
Right? It's about understanding those individual needs, celebrating successes, fostering open communication. It's about creating a sense of shared purpose and making sure that everyone feels like they're contributing to something meaningful.
So how do you actually convey that in an interview?
You want to give specific examples that demonstrate your approach to motivation. Maybe talk about a time when you helped a team member overcome a challenge, or when you implemented a new initiative. That really boosted morale and productivity. The key is to show, not just tell.
That's a great tip.
Okay.
Okay, another one that always makes me nervous is, how do you handle conflict within a team? It feels like a trap.
Yeah, I get that. But remember, conflict is inevitable in any team environment. It's
Sure.
how you approach it that really matters. What the interviewer wants to see is that you can manage conflict constructively.
So how do you do that? Do you just avoid it?
Actually, that's not always the best approach. Sometimes conflict can be productive if it's handled well. You want to show that you can remain calm, that you can be objective, that you can listen to all sides of the story, and that you can facilitate a resolution that benefits the entire team.
So it's more about being a mediator than a dictator.
Exactly. And again, it's really helpful to have a specific example ready to share, talk about, a time when you successfully navigated a conflict situation. How did you approach it? What steps did you take to resolve it? And what was the outcome?
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. A lot of these interview questions are really trying to get a sense of your leadership style and problem-solving abilities.
That's exactly right. They want to see that you can think critically, make sound decisions, and handle those challenges that come with leading a team.
Now, there's another question that I think trips a lot of people up, and it's dealing with underperforming team members. How do you approach that in a way that's both firm and supportive?
That's a great question. It's a delicate balance. You want to convey that you have high expectations, but you're also committed to helping your team members grow.
So how do you find that balance?
Start by focusing on feedback and development. Clearly articulate the performance gap and provide specific constructive feedback. And then work with the individual to create an improvement plan. Maybe they need additional training, clearer goals, more frequent check-ins.
It's more about coaching than punishing.
Exactly. You want to show that you're invested in their success and that you're willing to provide the support they need to improve.
This is all really helpful. But the Indeed guide also has a section on more associate director interview questions. And a lot of them are even more open-ended. A lot of them are behavioral. Like, tell me about a time when...
Ah, yes, the dreaded behavioral questions. They can be a little daunting, but they're actually a great opportunity to showcase your skills and experience in action.
But how do you approach them? It feels
And
like they could ask you anything.
well, that's where having a framework can be really helpful.
Hmm.
One popular method is the STAR method.
The STAR method, what's that?
It stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's a way to structure your answer so that you're providing all the relevant information in a really clear and concise way.
Okay, break it down for me.
So first, you describe the situation you were in, what was the context, what were the challenges. Then you outline the task you were responsible for. What were your goals? What were the stakes? Next, you detail the action you took. What steps did you take to address the situation? What skills did you use? And finally, you describe the result of your actions. What was the outcome? What did you learn?
So it's like telling a mini story with a beginning, middle, and end, but in a way that highlights your skills and accomplishments.
Exactly. And the great thing about the STAR method is that it's incredibly versatile. You can use it to answer a wide range of those behavioral questions.
This is great. This feels like a real game changer for tackling those open-ended questions. But before we get too deep into interview strategies, I think we need to take a step back and talk about the role itself.
You're absolutely right. Understanding the nuances of being an associate director is crucial.
Exactly. I was looking at the frequently asked questions
Yeah.
section in the Indeed guide, and it really made me think about like what an associate director actually does all day. And also, what's the difference between an associate director and a director? Is it just a fancy title change, or is there a real distinction in terms of authority and impact?
Those are excellent questions. So let's start with responsibilities. An associate director, typically, oversees specific functions within a department. Think of them as like a captain of a ship, responsible for navigating their department towards its goals, ensuring everything runs smoothly, and everyone on board is performing at their best.
So it's a leadership role, but with a very operational focus.
Precisely. They plan coordinate activities, develop and implement strategies, manage budgets, monitor performance against key metrics. They're often the link between the director and the individual contributors.
That sounds like a lot of responsibility. No wonder they want to grill you in the interview.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And now to answer your question about the difference between an associate director and a director. Think of it like a hierarchy. The director is ultimately accountable for the overall success of the department, while the associate director plays a key role in supporting that vision.
So the associate director is like the right hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even though it's a step below director, it's a crucial role that offers incredible opportunities. For growth and development, you gain valuable experience.
Yeah.
You build your leadership skills, and you prove your ability to handle those complex challenges. It can be a fantastic stepping stone to even bigger leadership opportunities down the road.
This is all making me realize just how important it is to really understand the role before you walk into that interview.
Absolutely. You want to show the interviewers that
Yeah.
you're not just looking for any associate director job. You're specifically interested in this one because you understand the company, the challenges, and the impact you can have.
It's about aligning your skills and experience with their needs and demonstrating that you're the right fit for this specific role.
Exactly. And that level of preparation will definitely give you an edge.
This is all incredibly helpful, I feel like. We're already getting a much clearer picture of what it takes to succeed in an associate director interview. But there's still so much more to explore.
You're right. We've only just scratched the surface. There's so many more insights and strategies we can delve into.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, make sure to stick around. We'll be back soon.
To dive even deeper into the world of associate director interview prep.
Welcome back. We just left off talking about how important it is to really understand the associate director role before you go into an interview. But how do you actually convey that understanding to the interviewers?
Well, you want to be able to articulate how your skills and experiences align with the company's specific needs. And to do that, you need to do your homework.
Okay, so we're talking about going beyond just reading the job description.
Exactly. You need to really dig deep into the company's website, their recent news articles, even their social media. Look for clues that reveal their culture, their values, their goals. What are they celebrating? What are their pain points?
I like that. It's like you're a detective piecing together a puzzle.
Exactly. For example, say you're interviewing with a company that emphasizes innovation. You could talk about a time when you spearheaded a new initiative that led to a breakthrough in your department. Or if they're all about customer satisfaction, you might highlight your experience in improving customer service processes.
So it's about finding those specific examples from your own career that resonate with the company's values and priorities.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about regurgitating facts. It's about weaving those examples into a compelling narrative that showcases your value proposition.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be honest, sometimes company websites can be a little vague when it comes to their values. It's all innovation and excellence and teamwork. How do you get a sense of what those words actually mean in practice?
That's where you have to get creative with your research. One thing I always recommend is checking out employee reviews on sites like Glassdoor. They can give you a more candid perspective on the company culture.
Ooh, that's a good tip. I never thought of that.
It can be really insightful. You might discover that the company really values work-life balance or that they have a strong commitment to professional development. Those are things you can then weave into your interview answers.
So even if the company's website is a bit bland, you can still find those nuggets of information that will help you connect with the interviewers on a deeper level.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
all about showing them that you've done your research and you're genuinely interested in being part of their team.
Now, speaking of being part of the team, we talked earlier about the importance of soft skills for associate director roles. Leadership and communication are obviously key, but what other soft skills are really going to make a candidate stand out?
Well, I think problem solving and critical thinking are crucial. Associate directors are constantly facing challenges and making decisions, so you need to be able to think on your feet and come up with creative solutions.
Okay, that makes sense. You need to be able to handle those curveballs that come your way.
Exactly.
Oh.
And another one that's becoming increasingly important is adaptability. The business world is changing so rapidly, and you need to be able to adjust to new situations, learn new skills, and embrace new technologies.
So it's not just about what you know today, it's about your willingness to learn and grow.
Absolutely. And I'd also add emotional intelligence to that list.
Emotional intelligence. That sounds more like something you'd need for a therapist, not a corporate leader.
You might be surprised. Emotional intelligence is all about being aware of and managing your own emotions, as well as understanding the emotions of others. And it's becoming increasingly crucial in leadership roles at all levels, especially for associate directors who are managing teams and building relationships with stakeholders.
So it's not just about being smart, it's about being empathetic and self-aware.
Exactly. Think about it this way. If you can understand why a team member is struggling, you're better equipped to help them overcome that challenge. Or if you can sense tension in a meeting, you can take steps to diffuse the situation before it escalates into conflict.
That's a really good point. Emotional intelligence can really help you navigate those tricky interpersonal situations that are bound to come up in a leadership role.
Absolutely. And it's something you can definitely highlight in your interview. Don't be afraid to talk about a time when you demonstrated empathy or when you successfully mediated a conflict.
So showcasing your emotional intelligence can actually give you a real advantage in an interview.
Absolutely. It just shows that you're not just a taskmaster,
Right.
you're a leader who understands people and can create a positive and productive work environment.
This is all making me think about the interview itself. I know we talked about preparation, but interviews can still be nerve-wracking. How do you stay calm and collected when the pressure's on?
Well, the more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel. But even with the best preparation, you might still get hit with a question that throws you off guard.
Oh, I hate those. It's like your mind goes completely blank and you can't even remember your own name.
I know the feeling. But here's the thing. It's okay to pause and take a moment to gather your thoughts. It's much better than rambling on incoherently. And if you genuinely don't know the answer to a question, don't be afraid to admit it. You can say something like, "That's a great question. Let me think about that for a moment."
So it's okay to not have all the answers. That's actually kind of reassuring.
Absolutely. Nobody expects you to be perfect.
Mhm.
In fact, interviewers often appreciate it when candidates are honest and willing to admit when they don't know something.
That takes some of the pressure off. But what about those curveball questions that seem to come out of nowhere? Like, if you were a superhero, what would your superpower be? What are they even trying to assess with those?
Those are always fun, aren't they? They might seem random, but those curveball questions are actually designed to assess your creativity, your ability to think on your feet, and your sense of humor.
So it's not about the right answer, it's about how you approach the question.
Exactly. Don't get flustered.
Mm.
Take a moment to consider the question and then answer honestly and thoughtfully. Even if your superpower is the ability to make a mean cup of coffee, if you can explain how that would benefit the team, you've demonstrated quick thinking and a sense of humor.
I love that. It's about finding the connection between the seemingly absurd and the practical realities of the job.
Precisely. Remember, interviews are also about showcasing your personality. Don't be afraid to let your sense of humor and your unique perspective shine through.
Okay, we've talked a lot about answering questions, but what about asking them? You know that part at the end of the interview when they say, "Do you have any questions for us?" It always feels like a bit of an afterthought, but I know it's important.
You're right, it's not just a formality. It's a valuable opportunity to demonstrate your curiosity, your critical thinking skills, and your genuine interest in the role. And it can actually help you figure out if this is the right company for you.
Okay, but I always struggle with this part. I either draw a blank or end up asking something generic like, "What's the company culture like?" How do you ask questions that are both insightful and memorable?
The key is to prepare in advance. As you're researching the company and the role, jot down any questions that pop into your mind. Don't be afraid to get specific. For example, you could ask about the company's growth plans in a particular market, or how they're approaching a specific industry trend.
So it's about showing that you've done your homework and you're thinking strategically about the company's future.
Exactly. You can also ask questions that demonstrate your understanding of the role and its challenges. For example, you could ask about the team's current priorities, or how the company measures success in that particular department.
Okay, that's really helpful. It's about showing that you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for a place where you can make a real contribution.
Precisely. And here's another tip. Don't be afraid to ask questions that reveal your own aspirations and career goals. For instance, you could ask about opportunities for professional development, or how the company supports employee growth.
Ooh, I like that. It's about showing them that you're ambitious and you're looking for a company that will invest in your future.
Exactly. Remember, an interview is a two-way street. You're evaluating them just as much as they're evaluating you. Asking insightful questions shows that you're thoughtfully engaged and serious about finding the right fit.
This is all such valuable advice. I feel like I'm getting a much better grasp of what it takes to not just survive, but actually thrive in an associate director interview.
That's fantastic to hear.
Oh,
And remember, confidence is key. You've worked hard to get where you are, you have unique skills and experiences to offer, and you deserve to be in that room.
that's a great reminder. It's not about trying to be someone you're not. It's about owning your accomplishments and letting your passion for the work speak for itself.
Exactly. And one final thought to leave you with. Think about what unique value why you bring to the table. What sets you apart from other candidates? What specific skills, experiences, or perspectives can you offer that would make you an invaluable asset to their team?
That's a great point. It's about going beyond the generic qualifications and really honing in on what makes you special.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you can articulate that clearly and confidently, you're not just answering their questions, you're telling your story.
Yeah.
And that's what will make you truly memorable.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive so far. We've covered so much ground from understanding the nuances of the role to mastering those tricky interview questions to finding the perfect balance between professionalism and personality, but I feel like there's still more to explore. We'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive into Associate Director interview prep. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into Associate Director interview prep.
It's been quite a journey so far, hasn't it?
It really has. We've uncovered some really valuable insights from Indeed.com's guide. You know, I'm starting to feel a lot more confident about tackling those interviews.
That's what we like to hear. Preparation is key, and we've armed you with some powerful tools.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, emotional intelligence.
Ah, yes, the secret weapon of successful leaders.
It's not something you typically think about when it comes to interview prep, but you've really opened my eyes to its importance.
Well, think about it. Associate directors are dealing with people constantly. Their success really hinges on their ability to build strong relationships, motivate their teams, and navigate those complex interpersonal dynamics.
So how can someone actually showcase their emotional intelligence in an interview setting? It's not like you can just say, "Hey, I'm really empathetic," and call it a day.
You're right, it's about demonstrating, not declaring. Think back to situations where you've successfully handled those challenging interpersonal situations. Maybe you had to mediate a conflict between team members, or you had to deliver difficult feedback in a way that was both constructive and compassionate.
So it's about weaving those real-life examples into your answers.
Exactly. Tell the story of how you approached the situation, what steps you took, and what the outcome was. That way, you're not just talking about emotional intelligence, you're proving that you possess it.
That's a great tip. It's all about showing, not just telling.
Exactly. Now, another crucial aspect of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. Interviewers want to see that you understand your own strengths and weaknesses. This demonstrates maturity and a willingness to learn and grow.
So how do you talk about your weaknesses without, shooting yourself in the foot? It's a question that always makes me nervous.
The key is to choose a weakness that is real, but not fatal. And then frame it in a positive light. Talk about how you're actively working to improve in that area. For example, you could say something like, I'm sometimes too much of a perfectionist, which can slow me down, but I'm learning to prioritize and delegate tasks more effectively.
That's a great example. It shows that you're self-aware and that you're committed to continuous improvement.
Exactly. Remember, interviewers aren't looking for perfect candidates. They're looking for people who are genuine, self-aware, and have the potential to grow.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I have a completely new perspective on interview preparation. It's not just about memorizing answers, it's about showcasing your unique skills, experiences, and personality in a way that resonates with the company's values.
That's exactly right. It's about telling your story in a way that makes you stand out from the crowd.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I think we've covered just about everything we can squeeze out of this Indeed.com guide. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners before we wrap up?
Absolutely. Remember, you've got this. You've worked hard to get to where you are, and you have so much to offer. Believe in yourself, prepare thoroughly, and let your passion shine through. I have no doubt you'll rock that interview.
I'm feeling inspired. And for our listeners, if you're ready to take your interview prep to the next level, be sure to check out Indeed.com. They have a wealth of resources to help you succeed in every step of your career journey.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
Likewise. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.